The Giants get swept in Miami, but that's not even the worst part. Now there's clubhouse drama. Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Alan Stiles, talking about your San Francisco Giants every single weekday. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Today, we are breaking down what went wrong in Miami for the Giants as they get swept by the Marlins. Devers says no. Is it a big deal, little deal, or no deal? And what is next for the Giants as they try to pick up the pieces? So stop me if you've heard this before. The Giants coming off a really nice series against the Braves, the first place Braves. They take two. It was supposed to be a 3-game set, but the last game got moved to the end of August. So they win those 2 games. You start thinking, you never know. You never know what's going on, what could happen with the Giants. If they get hot, what do? They go in the exact opposite direction and get swept in Miami, 1 step forward, 3 steps back, and that's been the story of the whole season. We're going to talk about what happened with Rafael Devers in the next segment and really dig into how much of a big deal it is, or if it is a big deal at all. But in the meantime, the in-between time, the Giants just got embarrassed. They just got outclassed by a team that is better than them. And, you see the guys like Otto Lopez, who the Giants had for a hot second. You think, man, that would be nice. But again, these teams, they just are more cohesive than the Giants. So the Giants, they lose 4-3, and all the games were fairly close. 4-3 on Friday. Landon Roop actually pitched pretty well. He went 6 innings, but then right after that, Sam Henches gave up 2 runs. So that's not going to work. Then you had what they did against the Marlins on Saturday. They lose 3-6. Trevor McDonald goes 3 innings, 3 earned runs. This was a guy that we were all really excited about and high on when he first got up there, and they have moved Adrian Hauser to the bullpen. So that happened over the weekend as well. And Trevor McDonald, who has shown us some things at times, didn't have it. And he only pitches 3 innings. And then you have another wasted, outstanding start by Webby, as Tony Vitello calls him, Logan Webb, on Sunday. And you get a sweep because the Giants couldn't put up more than 1 measly run. They had 4 hits. They put up 1 run. And Logan Webb went 8 innings. He gave up 2 earned runs, and you lose a ball game. This guy has to be frustrated. All these guys are frustrated in their own ways, don't get me wrong, but Logan Webb has done this, his last 3 starts with virtually not much to show for it. So it's got to be really frustrating and tough, specifically for him, because it feels like this has been his whole career with the Giants. Outside of 2021, just his whole career with the Giants has been him pitching well, not getting enough offense behind him, or the defense not being where it needs to be. So the Giants, and I know a lot of people were getting on me because I was saying that the Giants were 7 games out versus 7 games under 500. Yeah, they're nowhere close to 500. They're nowhere close. They're, at this point, it's looking like 15 games, something like that, under 500 to get back to. They have 46 losses now. So they have 46 losses, and 500 is nowhere close. Nowhere close. So I did see some people saying that. It was pretty funny, but they just are not a good baseball team. And some of the things that you would expect to see from a team that has vets that are making a lot of money and have had a good amount of success in their careers, there's just no leadership. There's 0 leadership on that team. It doesn't feel like anybody really knows who's supposed to be where, what are they doing. The whole thing just feels haphazard. It feels like every day they're going out there and just shooting from the hip. And hey, today we're going to steal bags, or the next day we're going to have a base stealer on, but he's not going to steal. But even though we brought him in for those reasons, it just is all over the place, you know. And it has to be an indictment on Tony Vitello. And I've defended him for a very long time now, but it just gets to a point where uh, we can sit there and say, well, he's not swinging, he's not hitting, and what's he supposed to do? These guys are vets, but somebody in that clubhouse has to get a rein in on this thing. Somebody has to get this train back on the tracks. And Matt Chapman early on, even with the catch the bleeping ball stuff, I mean, that was really just the beginning. And once again, as this season has just been awful, to be honest, it's been terrible. So thank you for everybody who has been going through this with me, I will say, because once again, following the pattern that we've seen this season, anytime the Giants make national news, it's not for a good reason. And yet again, with Rafael Devers, here we go. Why are the Giants in the news this week? Last week, it was something else. This week, why are the Giants in national news? Because their $300 million player who they have for the next 10 years, who they traded for and was supposed to take this franchise to the next level, is busy bickering with the manager during a game about whether or not he should come out. And the whole thing, and like I said, we're going to talk about it, but the whole thing being spun into he's being competitive, he's this, he's that, and then Tony Vitello just saying, "Oh no, we're good." It just speaks to the fact that there is not an adult in the room. There does not seem to be an adult in the room to say, "Hey, this is how we do things. This is not appropriate. This is okay. This isn't okay." It just is all over the place. And I get it. And when people say, I have not been in the camp of moving on from Tony Vitello. A lot of people, oh, well, you can't move off a manager in 1 year. You have to clear this deck. I'm going to keep saying it. If you want to keep Tony Vitello as your manager, you have to move some of these guys. And honestly, I would say this is us doubling down or giving our investment in Tony Vitello a better working space, because Devers isn't working. Chapman, we know, has a little bit of interest. Adames, you're probably just stuck with. But if you can get two of those guys gone and just have, more infusion of youth as we waited out for some of these guys that are in double A right now, you give Tony Vitello a much better situation than he has right now. You're giving him a dude in Rafi Devers who you traded for him. He's starting to play first. Did he ever want to play first? He didn't want to play first for the Red Sox. Like all these things. And now you're throwing in a coach who can't sit there, or a manager who can't sit there and say, oh, yeah, well, we had a player like this when X, Y, or Z happened, even if he was playing. I'm not even talking about as a manager. So it's just the worst possible combination of things you could drum up. And every day that passes by where Buster Posey is just letting this roster be is just a waste of everybody's time. It's just a waste of everybody's time. It really is, because we know that this team, that they've shown us, if you want to say, hey, okay, every time they have a good couple games here, it's, oh, are they turning things around? No, they're not. They're not. So we can stop with the malarkey. We can stop trying to trick ourselves, right? It's June 22nd. June is almost over. And all they've done is essentially lost ground in the wild card and get deeper under 500. So we don't have to continue to have these thoughts. They're just not going to do it. That to get swept right after playing as well as you did against the Braves. Yeah, they just don't have it. This team doesn't have it. And there was maybe a little bit of me that thought, hey, all right, everything, all you got to do is get near 500, but they're 15 games under 500. They're not even close to that. So the idea of 500 versus being in the wild card mix, it's done. It's done. every morning I wake up hoping to hear about a trade, or hoping to hear that one of these dudes is no longer on the San Francisco Giants. That's how I feel every single morning, because it's Groundhog Day with them. They'll probably, because it's a little bit of a rivalry, they'll probably win the A series. I guarantee it. They'll win the A series, then whoever they have next, they'll get swept. That's exactly who they've been all season long. And I have no reason to believe that they are going to change from what they've been. That's it. It's very simple. And Tony Vitello is going to say a bunch of nothing, and Buster Posey is going to defend his stupid decision making, and that's just where this thing is going to sit. And then they'll win a couple games, and then they'll lose, and then they'll get swept. It's the same thing. It's a cycle. I want to get off this ride. I want to get off the 2026 Giants ride. Buster, the best thing you can do right now is go to ownership and say, we need just as much as Patrick Bailey had to go, you can go to your ownership group and say, we might need to pay one of these contracts down, but we have to get off of one of these deals this trade deadline. I don't care who it is. And that's on me for signing these dudes, all three of them. And they traded for Devers in that contract, but one of them has to go. At least one of them has to go. So I'm sorry. You got to bust out your pocketbook. We got to pay this thing down if necessary. We got to get these guys out of here. We have to. I'm recognizing the mistake I made. We got to get these guys out of here. Enough is enough. Enough. You know, it's like when you're talking to your toddler. Hey, enough, right? We've seen enough. On the other side, let's hear what Devers had to say. Well, he didn't say much at all about refusing to come out of the game and then not talking with the coaching staff about it afterwards, or media. More Locked On Giants coming up. There is nothing like watching a Giants game. Even when they're not good, it's still so exciting to watch the orange and black. And it's even better when you get to watch it live. The excitement and the fans. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay. Period. The seat views feature is huge. I can see the panoramic view from my exact seat before I buy. Zone Deals lets me pick the section and save even more while Game Time selects a seat. You can follow your favorite team and get alerts when new deals drop. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit a game. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON locked on for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. That's locked on for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. This is that classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with the tasty caffeine boost and zero sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but I can't be eating sweets all day. This is a perfect alternative. The flavor really does bring back that throwback fruity vanilla vibe, and it's surprisingly smooth. I like how convenient it is too. It's just a small, portable shot I can grab whenever I need a little pick-me-up. It's become my go-to when I want something sweet without going overboard. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Okay, next segment with you, and we are breaking down Devers saying no. Devers, Defiant Devers. Is that what we should call him? Defiant Devers. He says no. So those of you that are not familiar with what happened in yesterday's game to close out the game and the sweep and the series. So basically, Rafael Devers drew a leadoff walk in the ninth inning, and the Giants were only 1 run down. So Tony Vitello says, okay, I'm going to pinch run Jonah Cox. Now, Jonah Cox is making his way, and I felt very awkward for Jonah Cox in that moment because what is he supposed to do? Right? He's just sitting there as Devers is saying, no, no, no. Okay, you can't, I don't want to come out. So Devers is waving to Jonah Cox, no, don't come out. Go back. At one point, he's saying, go back in the dugout. Jonah Cox is just sitting there. The ump essentially gets involved and says, hey, the move has been made. You're not in the game anymore. You have to leave. Devers screams something into his helmet, and then it looked like one coach tried to give him a hug or just say, hey, let's kind of talk it out. And Devers just says no, and he's out of there, right? He just takes off and goes to the back of the clubhouse. So, or he leaves the dugout, goes back to the clubhouse, and this is what some of the coaches and players had to say. Matt Chapman, he wants to be in there every pitch of every game. And Tony Vitello says, we talk every day. I'm good. I would rather have guys like Webby where you have to rip them off the field as opposed to vice versa. Now, there is a level, he says, I don't have a problem with Rafi. We talk every day. He's one of the most entertaining guys to be around. He wants to win as much as anybody in that clubhouse. He wants to stay in the game. We talked during this road trip about how he feels, and he feels he is 100% good to go running wise. That was the funniest thing. Like Tony Vitello, first and foremost, trying to sell it like, no, Rafi was saying he's good to go. Hey, he was just letting us know he can run. So then we had to then tell him, yeah, we know you can run. We're taking you out anyway. Trying to sell that as Tony Vitello started the answer to the question, what's hilarious. Then it turned into, no, we're good. People just don't want to come off the field, and this is all just a competitive nature. This is a good thing. No, it's not a good thing. And Devers has a past, right? And he didn't want to play first base with the Red Sox. They signed Bregman. Obviously, it didn't feel like they talked to Bregman or talked to Rafi before signing Bregman, but they don't have to. We gave you $300 million. You're going to play where we tell you to play. It's that simple. It's more than $300 million, honestly, but you're going to play where we tell you to play. It's that simple, right? There's no conversation here. So we know what went down out there. There was the weird situation last season. What was it? Will Clark, when Will Clark was there to help Rafi Devers and Devers, it was still, I guess, pretty new in the process. So Devers didn't show up or something like that, where there was a miscommunication or something. So there's been just a little stuff here, right? Nothing too out of the ordinary, but to make basically show up your manager, show up your teammates and say, I'm not coming out of the game. And now for it to be try to spin it in some competitive nature. Yeah. Throw the whole season away, man. Just throw the whole season away. Now, I understand Rafi Devers, right? Of course, hey, you don't want to come out. You don't want to come out, but you don't do that. You don't do that. You go to the dugout, you say, hey, and I don't even know what his argument would be. Hey, what if you're not going to come up in the lineup again unless you got to tie it, right? And you had just hit, so they got to tie the game, not win it, but tie it. Then go through what, 1 or 2 innings for Rafi's bat to come back up. So it made sense. And this kind of weird, I don't know if I want to call it fake hustle when, hey, I don't want to get pulled out of the game. What are you talking about? And now Tony Vitello bringing up leg soreness. I mean, well, what is happening here with this team? And, a lot of people were going back and forth whether it was a big deal or not. Big deal, little deal, no deal. I am torn because I don't want it. I, I'm torn because I don't think it's a huge deal, but it is definitely more than a little deal because it just speaks to how the players feel about Tony Vitello and the team at large. You don't trust your manager to make the right decisions, or it's not about that and you're just selfish and you're saying, no, I feel good today, I don't want to come out of the game, when we all know why Jonah Cox is there, to steal bases when he can, and just to get into just to put more pressure on the defense with his speed. So I don't really know what Rafi's argument was there. He just didn't want to come out the game because he just wanted to show that he's healthy. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to make sure that other teams knew he was healthy, right? I mean, a lot of these guys probably want to get out of here at this point. It just isn't working. So I thought it was a big deal. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's a big deal. So big deal, little deal, no deal. In my opinion, it's a big deal. It's more about not the fact that in that moment he didn't want to come out the game. It just goes back to what I was talking about in the first segment, that it just feels like it's amateur hour. It just doesn't feel like anybody has any control over what exactly is going on at any given moment. And Tony Vitello, again, I don't want to move on from him because I don't feel like he's been put in a great situation, but these are not good looks. They're just not. So Devers, and again, if you're a team, right, think about it like this. If you're a team, all right, well, Devers has a lot on his contract. So now he's got a bloated contract. He has, I guess, I don't want to say character issues, but there have been situations where his attitude has been questionable, and there's a track record of that. Uh, those two things as well. Why would any team try to trade for Rafi Devers? Why? It'd be one thing if he was red hot, but you're not even hitting up to your standard, and now you're going to be a headache. And now, once again, Tony Vitello, stop me if you've heard this before, has to answer questions kind of outside of the baseball realm. Hey, is there any drama going on here? Versus, hey, that decision you made, hey, or you still lost, you got swept, whatever it is. Now he's got to talk about that, and he's got to talk about, hey, are you and Rafi good? Hey, how's the locker room? How's the clubhouse? What's going on in there? So this has just been all the same types of things Tony Vitello has had to deal with all season long. But at some point, I got to look at him and say, some of this has to be your fault. Some of this has to be your fault. I can't just absolve you from everything. At some point, you have to put your foot down and get these guys to buy in, or you're wasting everybody's time. One more segment with you. What is next for the Giants as they get ready to take on the Battle of 80 Part 2? More Locked On Giants coming up. Baseball season is here, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade every single game, including the Angels taking on the Athletics, with a 44% chance to get that one done, with the second team, of course, being the A's, with a $218.69 payout. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probabilities change, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi. Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 and up only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. Get your daily Giants coverage completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to Locked On sfgiants at supercast.com to claim your free trial. Last segment with you, and as I mentioned, the Giants will be taking on the A's tomorrow. And just for fun, I know it's been a while, but just for fun, we're going to take a look at the wild card standings just to see just how cooked this thing is. The Giants are 9 games back now. That's correct. They are 9 games back of the last wild card. Okay, so all these teams really, it just goes, they're all 500, and they're all a game and a half out. So with the Giants and the idea that this thing isn't done, this is what's so funny. Now the Mets being 6 games out, even that looks much better than it did about 2 weeks ago, with the Giants now being 9 games out, and everybody knows they just have no leverage right now. Everybody knows that they're selling. Everybody knows that they're trying to move off of these contracts, and nobody really wants them. Adames and Devers seem basically immovable. right? So they're literally going to be stuck there for the foreseeable future. At least that's what it feels like. So the Giants are going to take on the A's at home. Then in the homestand, they'll get the Braves back. Okay. Then they have to go to Arizona. They get a little break as they go to Colorado after that. And then they'll host the Blue Jays and they get another break against the Rockies. So, I mean, it's done. Don't get me wrong. They get a couple games with the Angels mixed in there as well. And I know the Royals have been struggling too. So, maybe, they can take advantage of that. But it's not technically over. It just feels spiritually over as far as the wild card is concerned. So now I think it just comes down to Logan Webb has been throwing really well. Do you decide to hold on to him or see what you can get for him? All the other names that we've talked about, the Robbie Rays and guys like that, you know, who are you okay with being on your team after the deadline? Who are you not? Like Luis Ariz and Robbie Ray, they can't be on your team after the deadline unless in some world you plan on extending them because you'd lose them for nothing. So where are the guys that you absolutely have to move, and who are the guys that you don't necessarily have to move unless you get a good deal, right? Or those are the Casey Schmitz guys like that with team control where you don't have to move on from them, but if the price seems right, then you go ahead and do it. And I would throw Logan Webb in that category too. But like I said, you don't have to do it. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles File Styles with an I. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Giants ad free, plus members only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnSFGiantsSupercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.